Hey guys, it's Lex here, and today I've got a bit of a different video. This is actually one I've been wanting to do for a while. And I do warn you, if you just started watching, this video might be long. It's not scripted, I am literally talking from memory. And it might be 10 minutes, it might be 20 minutes, I don't know. Because it's a video I've been wanting to do for a while now. I never get round to it. It's, as you've probably seen from the title, it's something I want to talk about for a while. And to some people it might even be considered silly, but this video is a story about something that I was really passionate about, and something that I feel was a really big part of my life at one point and is left. It sort of died out, became outdated. So, just to get started, this story begins with me. I believe I was around the age of 6 or 7. I was a little kid, and I had a PlayStation and stuff, and I played arcade games. And we were on holiday, I believe it was Mallorca, Spain, or Menorca, I cannot remember for the life of me. We were staying at this hotel, I believe was called either Son or Sol Park. And I remember it was really, really green. It had a lot of park areas between the sort of apartments. And it had, I think it had two sort of play areas outdoor with trees and swing sets and stuff. It was just a lovely hotel, and the logo for it was like the Spar logo or Twin Pines Mall. It was like that. It was really nice. And I remember I was playing in the pool, and I was been out for a while. My mum said to me, "Look, you're getting all wrinkly. You've been out in the sun for a bit. I think you should put your t-shirt on, and you'll come inside so you don't get burnt and stuff because you've been playing in the pool for a while in the sun." So I gave it the usual, I've got my sun cream on, I'll be fine. And she was like, "No, come out." So I came out, I got dried off, and I went for a wander around. So as I was wandering around, I came across a game room. I'd seen game rooms before, but I wasn't really that big on them. At that age, last holiday, I was more sort of focused on going to the pool. I wasn't that big on arcade games. And I went into this game room, and it had your usual stuff. Change machine, a crane machine. They also had a whack-a-mole machine, but it was Ghostbusters themed, and little rubber ghosts would pop out and you would hit them down. It would play the Ghostbusters theme. I quite liked it. I loved just hearing the Ghostbusters theme. I always thought it was pretty good. And then in the corner they had something I'd never seen before. It was a time crisis machine, but not the normal one that you might expect. Most people think of the cabinet upright version with the glass, just your standard 90s, late 80s arcade machine. This one was a little different though. This one was actually the more rare, I believe, deluxe arcade cabinet, and it was massive. It had a big wide screen. The screen was separated. I mean, for a little kid like me, it looks big in the picture, pictures of it and such, but for a little kid like me, it was massive. I mean, it took up almost the full wall. Obviously, it wasn't that exaggerated, but this thing was massive. It was like a cinema, and you could, the screen had a metal bar, and you could, behind the gun sort of cabinet part, so I had the gun control bit, and it had a sort of walkway part connecting it to the screen, and it was just massive. So I was just looking around, and then all I saw was this loud intro, "Richard, there's been an emergency," and I was instantly like, wow, what is this? And just so you know what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you a clip of that just now.
"Richard, there's an emergency. There's been a kidnapping. It's Rachel, the daughter of the president of Sertia. The kidnapper is believed to be Sharudo, the last blood relative of the royal family. He lives in an old castle on the Northwest Island. He's demanding military secrets in exchange for Rachel's life. The deadline is sunset. We don't have much time. Get into the castle and rescue Rachel. The organized crime syndicate Wild Dogs is also known to be involved. Good luck, Richard."
I'm going to be honest. After I saw that on the screen, I was blown away. I had never seen a machine like this before. This is the first time I'd set eyes on a game like this. And for the time, the graphics were phenomenal. I mean, the smooth 60 FPS, the graphics looked fantastic, the sound, the explosions. That's one thing I always loved about arcade machines, was they were always really smooth compared to PlayStation. They were always really smooth FPS, they weren't 30, they were always a nice smooth 60. House of the Dead is a clear example. Those games, the graphics, the filtering, they always looked better in the arcades. Holding the gun, it was just fantastic. So I put a coin in and I started to play, and I remember picking up the gun, and the gun was black. It was the original black gun, and it had a blood spot on the side of the machine with the Time Crisis logo. And in the cabinet version, the one that most people probably have seen, the guns were multicoloured, I believe, as well as the future games. And I think the future games had that up until 5. I'm not sure about 5 though, but this was the original black gun. Now, I know they changed the colour. I heard it was a sort of controversial thing. People thought it looked too realistic, stuff like that. I'm not sure if that was just a rumour or true, because House of the Dead and a few other games like Crisis Zone, they had black guns and they came out after Time Crisis. So yeah, but that was the one I played it on, and I keep thinking how lucky I was to experience that. The widescreen, the original black gun, the Japanese imported machine. You know, I'm so lucky that just happened to be in that hotel that we happened to go to when I think about it. And I have never seen a machine since. I've never seen one of the machines since, and that's me being perfectly honest. And I remember when I played it, the gun was heavy. It felt so big in my hands. I needed two. My tiny little kid hands needed two to hold it. And I was shooting at the guys, and I had no clue what I was doing. It was almost scary, you know, the guys shooting at me, and there was nothing I could do. And stepping on the pedal, getting used to it, reloading. It was just such a thrill. And after the days passed, I got better at it, and people used to like crowd around me and cheer me on, and it was amazing. I mean, it was absolutely. I'd never experienced anything like that before. That was the first time in my life where the whole arcade thing was alive and kicking for me. This is what it's about. This is something I'm going to be passionate about for a long time. This is something that I want to get good at. I want to work hard on. I want to be passionate about. You know, that was it. The whole, I loved it when I was a kid. People would like recognise me. Oh, there's that guy again and stuff. Oh, you go to play today, and just, you know, everything like that. And I got up to one of the bosses, Shirudo Garo. I got up to him, and he walked in, you know, and he had his knives, you know. Oh, you've came so very far. Let me entertain you. And he pulled out the knives and he was throwing them, and the music was banging. It was, you know, dun 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 dun. It was really cheesy 80s movie. It was so fantastic. I mean, I was so excited. I'd got so far. I'd worked so hard to get here, and here he was. And I died. I got my ass kicked. I didn't last 10 seconds. But I would do it all over again, and I eventually got even better at the game and beat him. And it was literally the day I beat him was the last day before we left. And he wasn't the final boss. There was another stage which I wasn't aware of at the time. But I later got the game in PlayStation when I learned it was available for PlayStation, and I was super excited. Light gun and stuff. But the game, one thing that always killed me about it was you kept running out of time. Time is the one thing. Guys, the headshots weren't a big deal. I didn't get hit a lot by the enemies, apart from the red guys and obviously the bosses they would hit you because it was part of their animation cycle or whatever. That wasn't a big problem in it. The main part was the time, because if you lost time, no matter how many lives you had, it was an instant game over. You had to put another coin in once the time ran out. So that was it. And I was blown away by the game. The day I played it was the same day we were leaving. And I finally, you know, beat Shirudo, got my ass kicked and thought, you know, better hurry up, the bus will be here in about an hour. And it was fantastic. So we flash forward a few more years, we end up in our hotel, and I'm walking through and I notice a game room. Oh, what's this? Time Crisis 2. And the screens weren't as big. It was multicoloured guns, and the two machines were joined together, and you could play as two player, and you had a computer controlled assistant. You could get different guns at certain parts of the games, like the Uzi. The cutscenes were better. Wild Dog, the bad guy from the first game, he was back, and I was like, wow, this exists. How have I not seen it? I need to play it. And the minute I picked it up, I loved the gun. The gun was different. It didn't look like an actual pistol. It looked like the gun con that you could buy from Namco, and it was really it was much faster paced than the original. And I noticed the difference in Time Crisis 2 was the guys would constantly, when they shot a headshot, a large red ring appeared, letting you know, oh, this is going to hit you, and you had to duck within like a split second to avoid it. So I got my ass kicked. Time was plentiful. I never found myself running out of time, but I did find myself getting hit a lot. And I played this game to hell, and I wasn't that good at it. And then I went back to the same hotel about 2 years later, and the machine, thank God, was still there. One of the things I liked about the Time Crisis 2 was, although it wasn't widescreen, there was one screen and one screen only. It wasn't like the upright cabinet version where it had the screen and then a glass panel a few feet ahead of the screen. For a light gun game, that was so difficult. You couldn't shoot in the corners, the screen used to reflect and interfere with the gun, and it was a nightmare. I'm glad they got rid of that. I was amazed by the whole blue and pink 2-player part and the computer controlled player. I was like, wow, this is a whole new level. The speedboat chase. You jumped out and you go on a speedboat and you're shooting at them as the boats and guys jumping out the water and you're shooting a guy on top of a train and the train would roll by and with the machine guns, the glass crashing. It was phenomenal. Yeah, it was something that was just magic. It was like being in a movie. And again, the graphics were so smooth. I know they looked really pixelated, but they just ran smoothly. The music was excellent. You know, the cutscenes as well were amazing. They were even better and improved than the original. They gave you a good break to rest your hands, because I would be sweating coming off these machines. I would be absolutely sweating. So I absolutely loved Time Crisis 2. And I eventually got down to beating it with 1 coin. And that was it. You know, I think the most I spent being good at it was about €2. But I got down to being really, really good at it. So a few years later, I was at a caravan park. We went on a sort of road trip to this caravan park. And where I live here in Glasgow, there's not really arcades. There never really was. The occasional one at the bowling and stuff. But it was very rare that the arcades would have a sequence of games, you know, Time Crisis next to Time Crisis 2, then Time Crisis 3, then 4. That was rare. There was probably only one machine, and it was normally the latest one in the series at the time. So I walked into this caravan park and went into the bar area, and I was just looking around. There was lots of gambling machines. They were getting the most attention. And they had your usual dancing machines and such, your racing games. I looked in the corner, and what did I see was a Time Crisis 3 machine. And I'd never played the game, so I stopped and I took a good look at it. And it had multiple weapons. You could switch weapons, you know, stuff like that. Computer-controlled player. The graphics were improved as well. The cutscenes, it was more like a PlayStation 2 game than an arcade game. The graphics are pretty on par with the PS2. And eventually it got ported across, which was no surprise. But I put a coin in, and I was not sure what to think of it. It was good, I enjoyed it, but I didn't quite like it as much as 2. 2 was the pinnacle. I mean, I loved it, the weapon switching was great, but I thought it sort of killed the challenge a little bit, because you didn't need to be in your wits. The game supplied you with so much ammo. Bang, 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 kill guys, rake up the ammo. Use your pistol at the start of the game, rake up shotgun ammo, rake up machine gun, grenade launcher. In the original games, if a tank came up, 1 and 2, if a tank came up in 2, I mean, it would take a lot of hits. Time Crisis 3, the inclusion of a grenade launcher, you could just switch to that and bang, you could take out multiple enemies in one or 2 hits, you know. I mean, but it was still a great game. I remember one sequence, you're on a boat and the boat's starting to sink and the screen was tilting and you had to shoot while these guys were sliding down, and you were trying to climb and they were sliding down the boat and you were trying to hit them and avoid getting, and it was absolutely hectic. It was great, but it just wasn't the same as 2. It makes me sound old, but it was, seeing it getting modernised was a bit, you know, this isn't the game I remembered. Then a year later we went to Kent, I believe. I'm trying to work out the timeline. Yeah, I think that was a year later. We went to Kent and we stayed at a Holiday Inn. We were walking around and we found amusements, and I went in there and I saw Time Crisis 4. I thought it was a fun game. I appreciate they tried to make it different. Time Crisis 4 to me felt like it should be on the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. It didn't really feel like an arcade game. It felt like a console game. It was the arcade action was still there, but it wasn't quite the same. It felt, you know, like I should be playing it on an Xbox or a PlayStation 3. It didn't feel the same, like it belonged in the arcade, you know. It felt like they'd released them side by side. Hey, you can play it in the arcade or play it at home. It didn't have the magic of playing it on the machine that was built for it. You know, this machine will run this game. You cannot play this game anywhere else but this machine. And that's one thing always saddened me. As game consoles evolve, people didn't want to go to arcades, you know. That was about it, and they sort of died out. And again, in Time Crisis 1, 2 and 3, I had, you know, every time I played them, I had a big crowd around me. Oh, that's awesome and stuff. You know, people saying hi to me at hotels. Oh, how you doing again? I mean, people I'd never met. I'd never met in my life. You know, I never said hi to them, but they would say hi to me because they'd saw me playing the game, and you go play it today, and everyone would be waiting. I just loved that. I mean, anyone could walk in and just make a name for themselves. You know, yeah. I mean, you put your name in that machine, you are the best at this. I mean, it's like people don't really see it, but being the absolute best at something is... I'm not saying I'm the best player, but being the best in a hotel full of people where you're number one, it felt fucking fantastic knowing that knowing the effort it took, knowing that I started off being terrible. I worked hard and I was good at this game. This is something I am good at. This is something I have proved to myself that I started off small and worked up and got excellent at. You know, it was something special. It sounds cheesy, but that doesn't exist nowadays, and it's kind of saddening. So we're going to move on to the sort of end of this story. I know it is running a bit long, but we're going to move on to the sort of final part. So fast forward a few years later, and I'm out with my current girlfriend at the time, and we went on a drive. We went to play a game of pool at this amusement park, theme park called M&D's, and they have a sort of bar, game area, pool tables, arcade machines. And we went there, and we had a few games of pool, you know, and we had a good time, and we're just having a laugh. And just as we were thought, you know, should we get something to eat and then maybe head on back, I was looking around. I went to the toilet, and as I was walking out, I saw a Time Crisis 2 machine. And I was like, wow, I never thought I'd see one of these again. I thought these things were just non-existent nowadays, because this was 2014 this happened, so you know, it was a good few years. It was about 5 years since I first played the game at that hotel I referenced earlier on, and it'd been 5 years since I played it. And I looked at the machine, and it was tatty. It was old. You know, I noticed that the pedal was a little bit sticky as well. It hadn't been taken care of. It hadn't been, you know, it just been shoved in the corner, you know, as if to say, look, we've got nowhere else to put it, we'll stick it here. And I looked around, and the gambling machines, the cash prize games and stuff, they were getting coin after coin thrown in them, people playing them non-stop. But this Time Crisis machine, this fantastic game, was sitting in the corner gathering dust. It hadn't been taken care of. No one gave a shit about it, really. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to put a coin in. And I put a coin in, and it rolled out, and I thought, it's buggered. And I thought, you know what, screw it. I put another coin in, finally got it to work, hammered the coin in. And she came over and watched me, and I thought to myself, just as I was about to play the game, I kept thinking, you know, will I be as good as I was 5 years ago? It's been so long. Will I still be able to pick it up and play it? Will I still be able to be as good as I was back then? Will those skills that I worked really hard to get still be there? And that's it sounds really silly. I mean, it's an arcade game. Why is it a big deal? But the point is, it was something I worked hard at. It was something I was passionate about, and I was really nervous. And you know, what if I'm crap at this again? What if all that works for nothing and it's total horse shit? And I put the coin in the machine. I started off a little lousy, but once I zoned in, it was just me and the game. The train, you know, shooting guys, the speedboat chase, the music, you know, the tanks, the picking up the Uzi, shooting at the tank, dodging whenever I saw that red flash. I would dodge back, boom, quickly duck, reload, shoot, duck, reload, and my reflexes were lightning fast. It was like I was 5 years ago. I was a little kid again. It was like, you know, it was lightning fast reflexes. You know, I was a young teenager again. It was insane. It was like going back in time. Nothing else mattered around me. It could have been World War III. I was still so immersed in the game. I was enjoying it so much. And I finally beat the game on one coin. After 5 years, I finally beat the game. By the skin of my teeth, I will admit. But I beat the final game, and I was dripping with sweat. I mean, it was like coming out of the Matrix. I mean, I was dizzy. I was just like, what the hell just happened? for the last, 20, 30 minutes. What the hell just went on? My hands were numb. I was drenched in sweat. It was like you just poured water over me, and my girlfriend was standing with her jaw open like, wow. She was like, Jesus. She actually thought it was quite sexy. But here's the thing. What I done was if I'd done that 5 years ago, there'd have been a massive crowd, and no one in that entire place gave a damn. No one gave a shit. There was no one watching me play. I know it sounds like I'm wanting attention here, like, look at me. That is not it. That is not it at all. It was just, that was the realisation for me that this is dead. This is over. People would rather play cash prize games. That's one thing that annoys me, is these cash prize games. They'd rather put their money in gamble machines, and gamble machines I don't find them fun. For example, there's a cash prize machine in my pub, and it's one of those annoying pub quiz ones, and it has Bejeweled 2 on it, and I love Bejeweled 2, so I put in 50 pence just because I enjoy playing Bejeweled 2, but I can't even play it because it's so rigged and it's so difficult. Because it's giving out cash, so it's basically rigged. It's not like playing Bejeweled on the computer or on your phone. It's rigged Bejeweled. It's Bejeweled cash version. It's not the same game, and it wasn't enjoyable. I would happily put £10 playing Point Blank or a Time Crisis machine or Pac-Man or Donkey Kong than fuck about with some boring ass gambling machine or shitty pub quiz games. And that's what it kind of not angered me. It just made me feel like I didn't belong. It made me feel like I was a dying breed. I just looked around and I was the only one who gave a fuck about this machine. I was the only one who gave it the attention, who admired it, who looked at it and thought, wow, this thing still works. The gun was still accurate as hell. The gun still worked. The top of it didn't move. In Time Crisis 2, the top of the gun moves when you shoot. The top of it wasn't working, so it had obviously been damaged or dropped by some kid or something. And it just hadn't been taken care of. No one, it was just brushed to the side like it was nothing. And this magnificent machine was just, who cares? But these gambling machines were getting money hammered into them. Pub quizzes, you name it. People are paying it attention, touching the wee touch screen, answering the questions, whipping out their smartphones to get the answer. And it just made me feel like I didn't belong. I was annoyed. I was like, really? This is, when I was a kid, it was all about that. It wasn't a case of, it just shows you how society's changed. I don't want to put money in this machine unless I have a chance of getting money back. When I was a kid, it didn't matter about the money. The point is, the fact that you'd progressed your skills, the fact that you could sit down and say, I am the best at something. I worked hard at this. I am excellent at this. I'm enjoying this. That was payment enough. The satisfaction of knowing that each time you played, you got a little bit further, that your skills were even better, that you were that much closer to being number one, and with other people around you, watching, like, wow, and they were like, damn, and everyone was like, damn, you're so good at that, and everyone was give this attention, that you were the highlight. Everyone was wanting to see you play this game well. Some people hadn't seen parts of the game, and they wanted to see, oh, that's what that boss is, oh, I've never got this far, and it was just something magnificent. It was an amazing time in my life. It was something that I absolutely loved to bits. Playing it in the PlayStation, seeing it in the arcades, knowing that this is the only place I'll be able to play this. It wasn't available. You couldn't download it for Xbox or anything. That was just fantastic. And when I was there and saw no one gave a damn about this machine, it just sort of made me feel, this is, I wasn't too happy, And I was, my girlfriend at the time was a bit, thing. I was a bit snappy in the car because I made a comment, and I wasn't even being funny. I was like, I swear to God, that was better than sex. And she was like, oh really? And I snapped. I was like, yeah, I'm not kidding. And she was like, yeah, okay. And it was just that way I thought about it. I was like, oh wait, I'm sorry. I was just that sort of annoyed, that no one had given a shit. This is something that I was super passionate about at one point, and people were just looking around, hammering all these coins into these fucking gambling machines, and yet this, these gambling machines that are rigged to fuck, but this well-made, excellent arcade game with great music and excellent graphics for the time, and an excellent challenge, great storyline, that was ignored. It was sort of like ignoring a piece of art. It was like, Jesus. You know, it's like Time Crisis 3. It was the first game in the series where you didn't get the good ending. Time Crisis 3, they have to prevent the missiles launching, and the missiles actually launch. And what do? They pick up an RPG that one of the soldiers have dropped, and they both pick up these RPGs and they shoot the walls of the missile silo, and the ceiling and the walls come flying down and press down the missiles, prevent them from launching. And their teammates are standing there, oh, did they make it? Did they make it? And the building, boom, and you're like, oh, they didn't make it. And then suddenly these two speedboats, oh, right off the screen, and you see them flying by, you know, as this thing explodes in the background. And in Time Crisis 1, when they take off in the helicopter at the sunset, and they were something special. They were something I was quite proud to say. I worked hard at this, I was passionate about it, and I am excellent at it. And when I played that game, and after 5 years, still having that skill, I felt, you know, even though I felt sort of, you know, like I didn't belong, which is a really weird feeling to describe, I felt great. It was almost comforting. I still have that skill. It hasn't gone. I haven't lost it. It wasn't for nothing. I've still got that. That hard work is still paid off. You know? So, I know this video's running a bit long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been wanting to do it for a while. And it's, you can see why I was a bit nervous. It might seem silly to some, but it's probably one of the best times in my life. And to see that sort of arcade scene die out and be ignored, and no one, people more interested in playing gambling machines and games like Candy Crush than, you know, playing in a well-made machine that's been built for that game and that game only, is quite sad. It makes me feel old. It's funny because I'm 23, but it's quite sad. I don't like thinking about it a lot. It's kind of yeah, now I'm sounding old. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I thought it'd be something different. Like I said, I want to do it for a while. It's probably a total mess after I edit it, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you have any similar experiences, I'd like to hear what you thought of this story. Please tell me in the comments below, or send me a YouTube message. And as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this and you want to see more stuff. And as always, guys, thank you for watching.